friends, we are quickly approaching the end of 2024. Yes, it is Christmas week. Those of you who are celebrating Hanukkah, the two holidays seem to fall around the same time this year, but we all know that those holidays will soon be in the rearview mirror, and then we will be on to New Year's. And so this seems like the prime week to share with all of you guys my favorite and my least favorite candles that I tried in 2024. Now, truthfully, I was hoping to do this in one video, but when I put my list together, I realized that just wasn't going to happen. I was going to have to do this in two separate videos. So in today's video, I am going to be sharing with you the 15 worst candles, in my opinion, of 2024. And that is the thing to keep in mind, you guys. This is just my personal opinion. These are fragrances that just didn't hit right with my nose. So yeah, this is going to be fun. I do always want to give this little caveat at the beginning of videos like this, that I am more than likely going to ruffle somebody's feathers, because I'm sure inevitably there are going to be fragrances that you love on this list that just, they don't work out for me. The criteria for this list was these were candles that were either new releases, but really they were new to me in 2024. These were candles that I had not previously burned prior to this year, because there are some candles on here that I'm not sure if they were repackages. Actually, a few of them I think that they were, or they were just candles that I purchased for the first time, but they've been around for a while. So now that we have that all out of the way, I am ready to share with you. I actually ranked them, you guys. I went through and said, okay, 15 to 1, which one was the worst in my opinion? So this is going to be a lot of fun. So please, if you find this video entertaining, enjoyable, helpful, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you're coming across my channel for the first time, hi, I'm Katie. I love to talk all things candles here on my channel. I do a lot of hauls, dedicated reviews, empties, and a lot of fun videos like this in between. So consider hitting that subscribe button before you get on out of here. But without delay, let's get into this video. All right, coming in at number 15 was HOMEWORX Citrus Plumeria. Now, I received this candle, I believe I received it in PR, and I honestly didn't really, this is why it ranked at number 15 for me. It wasn't an awful fragrance, but it was one that was just a little bit strange. I would go through periods where I was like, I think I like this, but then I would burn it a little bit more and I would be like, I don't think I like this one as much. That candle did end up getting decluttered out of my collection. That was a summertime fragrance. I think just seeing the word Plumeria in there, I was hoping that it would be more in line with the old school Bath & Body Works Plumeria fragrance. It wasn't. Truthfully, if you wanted that fragrance, the scent Garden Bouquet from HOMEWORX is what you're probably going to be looking for, because that fragrance was very similar. But I don't know. I felt like that fragrance was just disappointing to me. The performance was also kind of like mid-range for me. I think I remember that one being maybe around like a 6. It just wasn't a winner for me, and that one went away. Coming in at number 14 was a KRINGLE release from the spring and summer launch. Again, another PR candle that was sent to me. You know, I know the assumption is that if we receive a candle in PR, that of course we rave about all of them and they're all wonderful. Not the truth here on my channel. So coming in at number 14 was Eucalyptus and Cotton. Now, the reason why this one made one of the worst candles for me is not necessarily because I thought the fragrance was bad. I actually did like the fragrance on that candle. However, any type of fragrances that tend to be like cotton or laundry-like do tend to give me a headache. And unfortunately, that was the reason why I ended up having to declutter that fragrance. It was a very fresh, clean laundry type of fragrance. But again, it gave me a headache and I had to let go of it. Coming in at number 13 was a KRINGLE Reserve candle that I think quite a few of you guys would agree with me on this list. I don't know, there might be a rogue of you out there saying like, nope, I don't agree. And that would be Japanese Maple. This was from the Fall Reserve lineup. And the reason why this fragrance made it on this list is because I couldn't smell it. Where was the performance on it? So I did like the fragrance on cold sniff, but it was very light. However, when I lit that candle up, and I even said so in the dedicated review, I couldn't smell it. I was like, what's going on here? I was trying to hover around it. I want to say it was virtually unscented, which was very, very disappointing to me. And the fragrance itself, like I said, it was nice, but it wasn't anything that I would have been writing home about. So that candle did make it to number 13. Number 12 is shocking that it's even on this list because when I received this candle, it was actually my favorite fragrance on cold sniff. I loved it. I thought I'm going to love this one. This is going to be a winner for me. And this is one that some of you guys may strongly disagree with me on because I know a lot of people loved this fragrance. But coming in at number 12 is Country Candle Praline Buttercream. Now, the reason why that one did not hit the spot for me was because, like a lot of Kringle candles, there was a fragrance note in here that started to come across a little bit burned to my nose. Almost sour. There was something that it was not hitting my nose correctly. And yeah, I wouldn't say sour. That I should reserve that. That's actually another fragrance that I have listed on here. But there was something that it just smelled like, when I lit it, it smelled burnt to me, almost like wildfire. And it was so disappointing to me because I really did enjoy that fragrance on cold sniff. But when I lit it up, it just didn't smell right to me. And performance on it was just kind of like, I think it was like around a 7 somewhere, which is fine. You know, I do get a lot of that from some of the Kringle candles, particularly more so with country. But yeah, that one was a disappointment for me. Coming in at number 11 is another candle from Country Candle that showed so much promise, but something happened to it a couple of burns in, and I don't know what. Number 11 is Charred Pineapple from the spring and summer release. So that's a fragrance that I was actually really enjoying it on cold sniff. And even when I lit it, I said, this actually is very reminiscent of pineapples that have been charred on the grill. Not burned, but there's a fragrance that kind of comes with that charred element. And I really smelled it on cold sniff. And I actually did smell it like the first 2 burns on that candle. However, as I started to approach the midpoint on the burn of that candle, my friend Drew Yock, he had messaged me one day and said, hey, I want to know, is this just my nose or are you smelling this too? And I was like, oh no. Like at that point I had told him, I said, like, I'm not really quite at like the halfway point yet. And he said, well, I'm a little further in. And he said, this candle is doing weird things. So what ended up happening with that candle was about the midway point, it started to give off the smell of natural gas. And I don't mean like flatulence. I mean like natural gas, like kind of that like almost sulfury type of fragrance. It was weird. I was like, whoa, what has happened to this candle? I attempted burning it outside a little bit longer to see maybe it was just like a strange scent pocket. But when I brought it back into my house, it was still doing the same thing. So unfortunately, that candle did have to make it out of my collection, which was a shame because the first couple of burns, I was actually really enjoying pairing that with, they had like a strawberry lemonade fragrance. And the two of those candles together were giving me like all of the like fruity, fresh summer vibes. But yeah, that one ended up disappointing me in the long run. All right, coming in at number 10 is another one that a lot of you guys may be very surprised by. And this is not a new fragrance at all, but this year was the first year that I purchased this candle and burned it. It would be Bath & Body Works The Perfect Autumn. I know a lot of people love it. In fact, there have been some comparisons between the HOMEWORX Harvest Leaves with the Perfect Autumn. However, when I burned that candle, there was I liked it on cold sniff. That's usually always the case. I like it on cold sniff, not all of these. But when I burned it, there was something that smelled plasticky. It smelled weird to me when it was burning. I couldn't really get the fragrance out of my nose. And I thought, okay, I am always typically the type of person where I'm going to try to give it a couple of burns to see if my fragrances or if my preferences adjust or if I start smelling different notes. But that fragrance for me consistently was just kind of like a plastic. It smelled plasticky to me. It was weird. I don't know. So unfortunately, that fragrance did not work out for me. Coming in at number 9 was a KRINGLE Reserve fragrance. That would have been Heartwood. Now, I know that that was very much a cedar forward type of fragrance. And it's funny because I typically like cedarwood when it's listed as a fragrance note in a lot of other candles. However, I think that I have concluded that I like cedarwood when it's balanced out with maybe like a vanilla, something that kind of tones down the harshness of cedarwood, because otherwise cedarwood comes across very much to me like my grandma's cedar chest, which I liked, but I don't want my whole house to smell like that. So unfortunately, that fragrance did end up making its way out of my collection. I don't remember that one being particularly strong. I did have some issues with some of my Kringle candles this year where I would hit pockets, particularly in the large vessels, where I would have strong performance, then the performance would drop off, and then the performance would pick up again. But I did not burn that candle long enough to see if the performance would pick up again, because honestly, I really didn't want it to. I didn't really care for the fragrance that much. Coming in at number 8, we have HOMEWORX Orange Clove. Now that is actually a more recent purchase within the last 2 months, I would say. I burned that candle, and honestly, it was so disappointing to me because I really thought that that fragrance would be one that I love. I do tend to like winter orange fragrances. You tell me orange, clove, how can you mess that up? Well, that fragrance to me, honestly, I think that there was a honey note in there to try to lend some sweetness, but the combination to my nose just smelled like straight up industrial cleaner to me, like when they try to market it as like an orange or citrus cleaner. I did not like it. It was not my favorite fragrance. And truthfully, the performance, I guess thankfully, was not very good on that candle either. It was a very, very low performer for me in terms of strength and throw, which again, I didn't like the fragrance, so it ended up being okay. I tried burning that with the Kringle candle Pine Cone and Clove, seeing maybe if like I could get more of that fragrance coming off of, maybe they could balance it out. But in the end, it really ended up not mattering because the orange clove was just so weak that it did pick up a little bit on the second half, but it that was not a good one for me. I would not recommend that candle. Coming in at number 7, I have a country candle, and it was Almond Butter Cookie. Again, another fragrance that I really thought I was going to like when I looked at the fragrance notes, but when I got it into my collection, I was like, this smells a little bit interesting. This is the country candle that I got a little bit confused earlier when I was talking about Praline Buttercream. This is the candle that I remembered having a slightly sour note to it. I don't know if there, I think it was the almond accord that they were using in here. It just wasn't doing it for me. I did not like it. Something smelled sour, something smelled off with it. It also was not giving me great performance. So that candle was a disappointment for me. Another one coming in at number 6, which I think that this was a little bit of a polarizing fragrance this year from what I saw in the candle community. I saw some people absolutely went bonkers for this fragrance. Other people were in my camp and were like, yeah, something smells weird about this one. Number 6 for me was Bath and Body Works Pumpkin Donut Shop. Again, another fragrance that I thought I was going to love. To me, when I got it in, on Cold Sniff, I didn't really get any donut accord. I got a ton of powdered sugar. That was the fragrance that I smelled. But then when I burned it, truthfully, the performance was awful. The wicks barely wanted to stay lit. Like, it was awful. They wouldn't stay lit. But even then, when the candle was burning, it smelled weird because I was still smelling that powdered sugar accord. And I think they were trying to get the donut fragrance to come through, but it just smelled very artificial and not good to me. So unfortunately, that fragrance I did end up returning and exchanging for another fragrance, but Pumpkin Donut Shop was a huge disappointment for me this year. Number 33 was another Bath and Body Works candle, and again, a fragrance that I thought I would have really loved, but it was very disappointing to me, and that was that number 33. What was that? Early summer that they came out with, like, there was like a number 33, number 40 something. I feel like it was like, name this fragrance. And the gist of number 33 was that it was like a lemon. I felt like there were like lemon and espresso notes in there. I got predominantly lemon, but when the candle was burning, that espresso note was trying to come out, and I just did not like the combination of it. I love their pink lavender and espresso. I do think the coffee and like that lavender scent goes really well together, but lemon and coffee, I should have known like that probably wasn't going to be a good mix, but I was trying to expand my profile, and it just was not a win for me. And I don't remember that candle performing very well either, if I think back on it. I don't know, you guys, that was several months ago, so I would probably have to go back to my post-burn review. By the way, you guys, a lot of these fragrances I do have post-burn reviews on, but yeah, that one just wasn't great for me. Now, before I get into the top 4, I should have said at the beginning of this video, the way that I was able to go back and compile this was because all year long, I have been keeping track of all of the candles that I brought into my collection, and I have decluttered. I will give my year-end wrap-up to my candle collection video next week for all of you, but it actually, in a weird way, made putting this list together very easy because I was able to see what candles I decluttered. If I decluttered candles, I wrote down why I decluttered them, and so that made putting this list together a lot easier for me. Back to the ranking here, we have number 4 was KRINGLE Candles Lemon Meringue Pie. That was a fragrance that came out mid-spring. It was when they did like those 3-wick spring collection. And I was so excited because I love me a good lemon meringue pie. However, when that candle was burning, or actually when I got it in and then when it was burning, when I got it in, I said, oh, this smells just like Marshmallow Chicks from 2023. It was a repackage, you guys, of the Marshmallow Chicks fragrance. And I remembered being disappointed when I smelled that on Cold Sniff because I was like, ooh, this is the cigarette candle. There was something about it when that candle was burning that it smelled like cigarettes to me. I don't know. I didn't like it. So I would be very cautious to purchase that candle again moving forward, or I would probably want to go back and reference the fragrance notes if they release another type of lemon scent or marketed as a lemon meringue pie. And that's always the thing with all of these candle brands. A lot of the times they do repackage fragrances, but that was such a huge disappointment for me. Coming in at number 3 is another KRINGLE candle, which I loved the packaging on this candle. Loved it. However, the fragrance, I was hoping for something different. So coming in at number 3 was Jellybean Jubilee. It was part of their Easter collection. And the reason why I was so disappointed in that fragrance was because the year before, here's 2 fragrances here that I'm referring back to a 2023 Easter collection. They had a jelly bean. I think it was just called Jelly Beans. That candle was so delicious. It was so fruity, perfectly sweetened sugariness to it. That candle was phenomenal. I loved it. And that's what I was hoping Jellybean Jubilee would be. Unfortunately, things took a turn because they threw in a little bit of a licorice note to that, which, no, I did not like it. Now, I do know a lot of people said, yeah, but this smells like more authentic jelly beans with like that hardened shell. And I get that to some degree. I personally don't love eating jelly beans, so maybe that was the other aspect. But I think I was so disappointed because I was really hoping that it would smell like the jelly bean scent that they had in 2023. But I was not a fan of the 2024 Jellybean Jubilee. The packaging was adorable, but not so much. But stay tuned because the Easter collection actually had 2 hits for me this year. Those will be listed in my top 20 of the year. All right, you guys, coming in at number 2 is a Bath and Body Works candle, Cookie Butter Truffle. Don't come for me, you guys. I know I've seen people all over Instagram stock up on this one. They loved this fragrance, and I know that there's a lot of people who love it. I have mentioned several times that candle, I actually really enjoyed it on Cold Sniff. However, when I lit it up, it smelled like poop to me, you guys. I don't know. It smelled gross to me. There was something that I was like, I really do not like the smell of this. I don't know. I don't know if it's just other fragrances in my home, if it just didn't go well with something in my house, or maybe the environment that I live in. But every time I burned that candle, I was like, no, I do not like this. Yeah, that was a huge disappointment for me because, again, I loved it on Cold Sniff, but I couldn't do it. And also, Bath and Body Works, there have been just a few candles that I've gotten from them this year. I do have, some on my favorites list as well. That one just did not perform well for me either, just from the performance standpoint. Let's take away the smell. The performance of it has been in line with what I was running into, mainly going from fall and winter releases. Actually, I would say there were a few in the SAS sale that also are in SAS that started doing this, that I started to notice these puny wicks right out of the gate, trouble pulling out, or what I would get was good burns and then halfway through, not so much the dudding out, but I noticed a very, very decreased performance in terms of strength and throw. So anyways, cookie butter truffle, not a win for me. Did not like it. So before I get to the number one fragrance, feel free to comment down below. If you've been with my channel for any length of time, try to reflect and think which one is going to be the number one candle that made this list. Drum roll, please. And I am so sorry to say this, Mick Kittredge, because I know you love this fragrance, but this, it's not for me. Coming in at number one, this might be recency bias. It's the new Reserve Cinnamon and Cedar. You guys, it smells like wet dog to me when it is burning. I don't know why my nose smells that. It just does. And the crazy thing is, again, one of those candles that I look at the fragrance notes and I think I am going to love that. But I don't know if it's the spice mixed with the cedar wood. The cedar note in there is very similar to the cedar note that was in Heartwood, which is a very authentic cedar note. I will give it to Kringle in that area. It is very authentic cedar. Like I said, if your grandmother's or if you have any of like those cedar chests, I have one. It smells very much like the cedar when I open up the cedar chest. But the cinnamon note mixed with it gave kind of like, there's like a mustiness almost that the two of them combined just does not hit my nose right. The cinnamon isn't like overly spicy cinnamon that I smelled like, say, in like Frosted Spice. It's not like that. It's almost like a softer cinnamon, which I think the softer cinnamon mixed with the cedar note, again, to my nose, when I was burning it, it smells like wet dog. Now, to be honest with you guys, I am the only one in my house who thinks it smells like that. My husband, he didn't love the fragrance, but he didn't think it smelled like wet dog, and neither did my oldest daughter either. So again, you guys, it could be something that is just off with my sniffer, but that fragrance to me, I did my review. I gave it a few attempts, but out it went. So I think that the reason why those two, the cookie butter truffle and the cinnamon and cedar, really just made, and really, I would say like my top three, the main reason why I think they made it that far up the list was because I had such high expectations and I was so severely disappointed by what I got on burn. I think that really is what factored into them making that like top three status. So this again was all in good fun. I do hope that if you have similar fragrance preferences to me, that you did find this video maybe a little bit helpful. But again, if anything, I hope that this just kept you entertained during this week where we are just really kind of in a hopefully more celebratory and fun mood. I would be curious to know what your maybe top three fragrances are that just you were like, those did not work for me. I would love to hear your opinion in the comment section down below. Again, please consider hitting the thumbs up button if you found this video fun. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. If you want to see what my top 20, I couldn't narrow it down, less than 20. If you want to see my ranking of the top 20 fragrances of 2024 are, you will definitely want to make sure that you are subscribed and have that notification bell turned on. But I do want to say thank you so very, very much for joining me for this today. I think I'm planning to upload this prior to Christmas. So if you are celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah this week or any other winter holiday, I do wish you the brightest blessings in your celebration for that. But for today, I do want to say thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I hope that you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.